Hey guys, it's Rick and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to share with you how to create a charming floral card using watercolors, and we're going to get into it right now. We're going to be using the sketched floral Hydrangea stamp set from Prickley Pear, which is also Pajama Crafter Stamps. It's a great big floral image. I've got some Canson watercolor paper. We're also going to use that coordinating dies. I've got a cup of water, paper towel, my round brushes. I'm using a size 4 and a size 2. These are actually the Altenew Artistry by Altenew brushes. Comes in a 4-pack. I'm stamping out my floral Hydrangea, which is my favorite flower in the world. I'm stamping that out with some VersaFine Onyx black ink onto my Canson XL watercolor paper in my Misty because, heaven forbid we don't stamp it right the first time. All right, so I've pulled in my color, and I'm going to be using distress inks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down my color in where I want it to be the darkest. I'm going to use the 2-brush method. I'm going to pick the paint up with one brush, and I'm going to pull that out with the other brush, and it's a thirsty brush. And if you've been to my channel before, you've heard me say thirsty brush a few times. All it is a fancy term for watercolorists. That means you put your brush in the water and blot it off on your paper towel, and it's just very damp. So we're going to pull that color out to create our tones and our values. I like to start with my darkest color, and I will tell you right now that if you want to make sure your color is nice and dark to begin with, a dark color, that way it will give you a broader range of tones and values to be able to pull out. You can see I went back in and added a second layer and did the same thing. It wasn't a little dark enough. This time I'm going to take and do the, this is peeled paint. I'm sorry, mowed lawn, right? Yeah, that's peeled paint, sorry. Peeled paint in the center, and I'm using mowed lawn on the outside edge, and I'm going to pull both of those into the center to let them blend together in the lightest area to create a different tone. You can totally do that. I finished all the rest of the leaves off screen, and now I'm going to start working on my hydrangeas. And in my world, because I can't have this in real life, my garden in my stamping world has all the colors of the hydrangeas that I damn well want. So I am doing a pink one, I'm going to do a blue-violet one, and I'm going to do a violet one because I want them all. And don't we all want them all? All right, so for the pink one, I'm using Victorian Velvet Distress ink, and I'm going to start off in my shadow area of the clusters of the hydrangea, because, a hydrangea has, you can see through it, and it has that deep, intense, dark color in there. So we're going to put that in first. And then for each of our little blossoms, I'm going to start in the shadow area, and I'm going to lay down my darkest color, and I'm going to pull that out. Anywhere a petal overlaps another petal, you're going to have a shadow. The center of these, I just did dark. It's okay. This is my first layer of color. So don't be afraid if you don't get it right the first time. It's okay, y'all. Don't worry about that. Stick with me, and I'll show you what to do after we get there. Closer to the end of the video, make sure you stick around, and we're going to show you. And I think I have what other watercolor videos that if you're interested in, I'll pop up here on the card that you can check out later after you watch it the first time. Don't leave now, because you need to watch this to the end. Don't be playing. Y'all know y'all struggle with watercolors. Might as well stay and let me teach y'all. I used to struggle with watercolors, and it finally just clicked by lots of practice and watching. So stick around. We're going to go ahead and do our blue-violet, which is more of our traditional color hydrangeas. Forgot my dang flower. And I'm using shaded lilac distress ink for that. I'm also adding some shaded lilac, just what's on my brush, into my shadow area of my pink flowers. That way it makes that shadow pop, and it's going to draw that back into, once it dries down, it's going to pull the shadow that's back in there back. So we're going to go ahead and add in our shadow area of the top one here. It's going to be a blue one also, because why not? I'm going to have all 3 colors. Might as well. We're going to do each of these petals the same way. Anywhere that a shadow or something is overlapping, it's going to be where my shadow is. I'm going to pull it out with a clean brush. And that's why I'm using the 2-brush method. I'm pick paint up with one brush and clean water up with the other brush. That way I don't have to worry about contamination. And I can just keep painting and get done a little bit faster. This entire video took me about an hour to paint. It was about 58 minutes. So I've cut that footage down to about 14 or 19 minutes. I don't remember. Excuse me. So you can find all these details on what I used down in the description box below in the visual supply list if you want to pick something up. You can also find everything on my blog and all the details. Just a little note, if y'all do purchase from my links, I do earn a small commission from that. And that's what helps keeps the channel, me producing videos for y'all for free. So every little bit helps, and I appreciate every time y'all use my link. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our purple flower. And this one really amazed me. I was super shocked about this one. The color I picked was Wilted Violet. When Wilted Violet reacts with water, it's a little different than the other colors that I've used. So, and you're going to see that in a little bit. And if you noticed it before I tell you, let me know in the comments below. All right, so I'm going to put in my shadow area, and I'm going to add in the clean water and pull that out to get my lightest color. Super easy way to do watercolors. This is the easiest way I can teach y'all how to do this. Is just by pulling it out to go into the darkest area and pulling it out to the lightest. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I got mesmerized by the color. Oh, sad situation. All right. So, if you have noticed what Wilted Violet does when it's pulled out and left a comment, congratulations. If not, this is what it does. It's Wilted Violet. It starts out as a bluish violet color until you pull it out. And once you pull it out to the lightest area, it changes values and changes tones to a more of a red violet. And it was so amazing to watch that process happen. I don't know, maybe it's just me, and maybe I geek out a little bit because color. I love some color, so I don't know, maybe it was just me. If you found that amazing, let me know also in the comments. All right, so we're going to finish out doing the rest of these flowers, petals in our hydrangea. You can see how it contrasts with the shadow that we put in to begin with that's in that cluster. It just makes the flower pop a little bit more. So, little story time while we're painting, finishing up our painting process the way we're doing. If you watched this video on Thursday on my YouTube channel, I had what they called surgery yesterday, quote unquote. Basically, I've talked to y'all about this before. I have a frozen shoulder currently. They said it was something very common with diabetics. It's an 18-month-long process to get it to loosen up. We've already gone through 8 weeks of therapy, PT, and the doctor decided when I went back that since I still had lost some, not really lost, but didn't have full range of motion, that he wanted to go in, knock me out, which is why it's called surgery, knock me out, and break up that scar tissue by moving and manipulating the arm in different directions to break up that scar tissue while I was knocked out and was relaxed, and I couldn't fight, I guess. I don't know. So, but that's what they're going to do. I made sure there was no cutting involved. I had enough cutting lately. So, I did ask that several times. He was like, no, we're just going to knock you out and manipulate the arm. Well, I also have therapy for PT for the next 2 weeks, 5 days each week straight. And I have therapy yesterday after the surgery, late yesterday afternoon. Excuse me. So if you left a nasty comment on this video, you're probably going to get a nasty comment back. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now. So I'm coming in now, and I'm adding my second layer of color. And on this, back to the card for a second, I'm adding both hard shadows and soft shadows. Hard shadows, you can see in nature as well as soft shadows. Hard shadows is just where you take and you put in the shadow, but there's no soft edge on it. It has that hard edge, just like I painted those in there. A soft shadow you have blended out the edge in your painting. It's just a fancy term to excuse me, to get a more natural look in your watercolor painting. That's really the only time, most of the time you don't use it in like when you're painting with other medias, but you really use a hard shadow and soft shadows in your watercolor painting. So be aware of that. You can see me go back and start, I put some hard shadows in and then I will soften some of them out like right there, where it creates a nice transition or blend of each one. Because you do see that if you really start looking at the light, you're going to see that in real life. Now I'm going to take the coordinating die and I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to tell y'all, I freaked out about this because I thought this doesn't fit. It's not supposed to. It cuts the hydrangea down smaller, which is less than an A2 size card. I'm going to come in with Distress Oxide Tumble Glass, and I'm going to add some cloudish or skyish looking blend. I'm not doing it super blended. I want some of that streakiness in there to add some clouds. So I'm going to put that on my panel, and then I'm going to take that same Distress Oxide ink, put some on my acrylic block, spritz a little water, take a small round brush, and I'm going to add some texture with just some flicks of that color to liven up that sky. And then I'm going to dry that off camera, and I'm going to pick out my sentiment. I am using the Banner Love stamp set from Prickley Pear. Also, it's great love themed sentiments. You will see a card from me tomorrow on Instagram and my blog. That's a save the date card that came from that set. But I chose the Yours Always. I thought it was very lovely and a nice sentiment to have. I did cut that panel down to fit the hydrangea. I think it's 3.5. I don't have my card out here now, so I can't tell you the exact measurements. It'll be on the blog. As well as all the supplies that are listed. I did cut it down a little bit more so that I had a nice little border. I believe this is 3.5 by 4, but don't hold me to that. I'm going to take and attach this to a piece of black, pitch black cardstock. And I'm just going to leave a nice little border around those two sides. And I'm going to cut the other two sides down with my guillotine trimmer, my Tim Holtz little guillotine trimmer that I just love. I'm going to cut that down on both sides where it has a nice little even border. Now I'm going to glue this to my card front. And I'm going to add a little sparkle. So you can hear me drinking my drink in here. I'm using my clear overlay glitter pen from Spectrum Noir. I'm going to add some glitter to all my flowers. Now, just remember, when you're doing this, be careful because you can reactivate that pigment. So you got to be super careful. I'm going to use some lilac rhinestones from Pajama Crafter Stamps to finish this off. And if I didn't mention that before, it's the same company as Prickley Pear. Pajama Crafter Stamps is the new umbrella company for Prickley Pear. You can find all Prickley Pear stuff on the Pajama Crafter Stamp website. So I'm going to add 3 at the top left and 2 at the bottom right of the sentiment. I'm going to space those out where they're nice and pretty. And I'm going to just use my Barely Art glue, which y'all all know is my favorite glue, next to Tombow Mono. If Tombow Mono had a precision tip, I'd be using it, but they don't. And I'm too lazy to stick it in a damn bottle. So we are going to pop that on there, pop our little rhinestones on, and that's my card, y'all. Ain't it pretty? So y'all can do this techniques, and here's a quick look at the card. I know you can do it, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, guys. Love you. Stay crafty. Oh, make sure you watch this video next.